much. So, just for the recording, I am going to. I'm just going to hide the video in the top left. This is an original Xbox. I bought it off of eBay. It cost me £10, and it was £10-ish, and it was it had a fault. Had fault lights. I'll go through some of the fault lights later, but this one had yellow and green, I think, or orange and green, maybe it is, and that is no AV cable. I had an AV cable, so that's kind of handy. And actually, when I boot it up, it works. Let me just show you the video. Just have a look at that. It at least boots. I haven't really tested it with anything because it's actually got a couple of problems. One is that the front switch doesn't work. So when I try and press the power off here, down here, it doesn't work. And when I try to eject the DVD, it doesn't work. You might be able to hear that. It just gets completely stuck. Now, to get at these buttons on the front, especially with the power one, I need to check that that's working properly. I need to do a complete strip down of this box, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to record that, and I'll put that up on my YouTube channel as well, so it's there. I'm just going to go through everything we need to do to tear this down, basically into its constituent parts. I have got a anti-static strap on because it's a computer, and that's not a bad idea. It's really straightforward to take apart an original Xbox as well. You need a couple of Torx bits, and I'll go through which ones as we go through. A small Phillips, and probably some brute force and ignorance towards the end. So anyway, I'm going to unplug all the cables so it's not running, and give it a bit of peace and quiet. And show you what I need to do. And the other thing you might need is a knife or something to peel the labels off. So let's just turn it over, and what I'll do is I'll try and keep it oriented at the same time all the time, so the front's going to be pointing towards me, which is at the top of the screen. Right. So once my camera refocuses, this is the hope it does refocus. That's going to be a real problem if not. Let's just try and sort that out. Let me just uncheck that. Should be autofocus. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Okay. Click that back to auto. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Right. Okay, so there are 6 screws on the bottom. You need I think, T15 Torx bit. Yeah. You need a T15 Torx to get these screws out. Now, you can see that this Xbox has actually been repaired. Now, I'm not sure who it's been repaired by, but it's got security labels over the original labels, which cover up the one screw here, one screw here. Okay, I've just cut. I mean, the warranty's up on these things years and years ago. I just cut a very small hole with a sharp knife around those two. If you've got the original labels on, you can actually peel them off. You can just hook something under the corner and peel them away. But I just like to cut it. It's neater, and trying to get the labels off is actually really painful. So I just cut it. No one's ever going to see it, and it's not like you're trying to you're ever going to send it back to Microsoft to get it repaired. So we'll take these two out first. And these are ridiculously long screws, and you're not going to lose these. So there they are. They're bonkers. They're only threaded at the very bottom though. So there's 2 here in the middle under the labels. Sorry if I'm jiggling the camera around a bit. Okay. And then the others are under the feet. Now you can see that the feet have been badly dislodged on this one, and actually I've left it like that because I'm going to stick them back down when I'm finished. On a good quality one, you can actually lever up, and now you need to lever up from the outside edge with a flat blade screwdriver or something, and just peel the foot off. Let me see if I can show you on this one. Just peel the foot off halfway, and then you'll be able to get at the screw. I will probably just go completely berserk and just take the foot pads off as well. And all of these screws are the same, so you don't need to worry about where they've come from. We'll just take those out as well. Okay, that's 3. That's nearly there. Never mind. Okay. Now, just so you know, I have actually dismantled these in the past, so some of this damage is possibly my own doing. I'm just going to stick this foot on so it's flat. So once you've taken the 6 screws out of the bottom, that's all you need to do to get the top off. And we're just going to turn it over. Hopefully the camera will sort its life out. Turn it back over. Okay, yeah, good. And basically the top lifts off. They shouldn't be too tricky to get apart. Top just comes off like that. Okay. And there's nothing particularly complicated about the top. It's just plastic and shielding. You don't need to worry about it, do anything with it. You can obviously clean it. I just dry clean this, but you can actually take the shielding off if you want to and properly wash it through. Plonk that down there. Now then, anybody who is familiar with old school PCs, well, probably know. One second. We'll probably know that the original Xbox is basically a PC with some very, very minor modifications, and it's a very old PC as well by modern standards. So on the top we've got DVD-ROM and hard drive. Now, the one only thing I'm going to say about the hard drive is that it's tied to the motherboard by ATA specification password, and so you need to make sure that you always keep the right hard drive with the right motherboard. Apart from that, it's all really straightforward. I'm just going to unclip all the cables. Now these are old IDE cables. You just pull this out from under the clip there, and then this IDE cable will come out the back of here, and we'll also take it out the back of the D as well, just for good measure. Okay. And then power as well. Now this is a Molex connector, and they're a real pain to get out. I often use something to just gently lever it apart if I can. I hate Molex connectors. Whoever came up with this design is shooting. That part. They tend to just need wiggling, and eventually they'll come out. See what I do. Sometimes works. Oh, use the noise. That. Cool. Take that apart. Okay, hopefully I wasn't too much in the way there. And while we're here, we'll take the other 3 torque screws out, and you need a T10, I believe, these. Right, so you need a T10 for these, T15 for the base screws. You need a T10, and there's only 3. There's one here. And then there are 2, and they're right deep down at the front of the DVD drive. They're pretty easy to spot. Just take them out now. Just while we're here. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, that's the right one. The right one, not the right. Look. Right side. I might have damaged that one, which could be a problem. Grab this other one. And these three are also all the same size, so you don't need to worry about mixing them up or anything. I'm hoping I can get this one out, otherwise we're going to be here all night. There we go. Okay. So that's most of the dismantling done. Basically then all this lifts out. You just need to take the Molex power connector for the hard drive and untuck it, and there's a little clip here and you just need to untuck it from there so it comes out the side. So move that. So I'm just going to move my mic away. There we go. So that comes out around the side, and then basically this all lifts out. There is power on the back of the DVD drive as well, and you can just pull that out by grabbing the wires. And I can't remember which bit comes out first. I think it's the hard drive, right? The hard drive comes out first, so that just lifts out all in one piece like that. Okay. And that's all there is to it. Like I say, the hard drive is tied to the motherboard, so you want to make sure you keep that together. I've got a couple of Xboxes I'm working on at the moment, so you just need to make sure that you can take that out. If you want to clean in here, it's just attached on the side by 2 screws, and you can dismantle that really easily. I do need to do that because it's filled with dust. We're just going to put the hard drive down to one side as well. And then it's DVD or CD, who knows? DVD. It's just lifts out exactly the same way, like this. Now this it is a little bit more tricky, and there's a few more cables, but basically that comes apart. It's actually not attached to this bracket, I don't think. Yep, so this just lifts away. So the bracket comes apart, the ROM drive comes apart from there. And this is a Samsung drive. And I think that it's one of the better ones. The Xbox was quite renowned for having a load of dodgy DVD-ROM drives in it. This one doesn't open, and so I'm going to have a look at that at some point, because I think the switch is working. It's just not engaging, and it just basically needs. It probably just needs cleaning out and having a bit of grease put in. This one in particular comes apart really easily. Obviously, if you're we might take this apart later, but you need to just take these 4 screws out, and then the top lifts off. And obviously, bear in mind there's the laser assembly in there, so you need to be really careful with that. So we just put that to one side as well. So we've exposed the guts of the machine. So just to point out the parts, over here on my right is the power supply. Now it's all exposed, and obviously we've just had it powered on. So you need to be a bit careful about working around there in case you get any discharge from the capacitors. We're gonna, I'm not sure whether we're gonna take that out. We might just leave it in. And then the main board is here, the motherboard is here, and that is a very standard PC motherboard. You've got CPU, GPU, fan, you've got an ATX type power connector, you've got some USB headers and stuff like this, and obviously you've got the IDE over here. If you are familiar with PCs, the original Xbox is a piece of cake because you open it up and go, oh, I know exactly what all this stuff is. It's fantastic. We don't need to really get the motherboard out, but I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing to do is to disconnect the power. Now, this is not common to all. There are different types of power connector, but they're all basically ATX type connectors, and you just hold the motherboard down and wiggle it out. Okay, and like I say, try and keep a little bit away from the power supply. You don't want to get a jolt. And there, we'll get that out of the way in a minute. Just going to get in the way, and never mind. And then the front panel. Basically, on the front panel of the Xbox, you've got 2 ports on either side for the controllers, and they're basically just plugged into the USB headers. So this section of cables here is just comes from the front panel, plugged straight into there, and you can just pull that out. There's no clips or anything; it just comes out. And the same with the other one over here. It's exactly the same kind of style with the rubber balls around to kind of tie the cables together, and that one just pulls out. Okay, and then the only other connector on the board is the front panel. Now this is the front panel. It's got the power and the eject switches for the Xbox, and once again you can just pull that apart, and there it is. It's pretty much done. Now the other thing you can do to tidy up if you want to is you can take the IDE connector out. I'm going to leave it in just because it's there, and obviously you've got the power for the for IDE here. And last but not least, you have the fan. Now the fan's connected, and you probably won't be able to see this. There's a 3-pin connector here. Got 2 cables. Just disconnect it by pulling it up, and there you go. And then once again, because this is very similar to a PC, you've got the screws where the motherboard standoffs go, and these are, there's experimentally, also a T10, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, dust, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. And then there are 2 additional screws on where the AV connector goes out the back of the motherboard. 9, 10. Once again, these are all standard T10 screws, and then in theory the motherboard itself should lift out now, I think, if I've got all of them. And the best way I find to do this is try and just get a finger and lift actually the front of the board up slightly. Grab the power supply, and then you need to slide it forwards to get the connectors away from the back panel. It is a bit of a fiddle to start with, I must say. And I'm possibly I've left another screw in, which is not going to help, is it? There we go. 1 more screw. Go. Ooh. Throw that around, and then we should be able to lift this out. So I find it best to try and lift up the front. There we go. Better. And then just slide it back towards the front of the motherboard, to the front of the case, and you're done. And the motherboard's out. Okay. I'm just going to put that to one side, and we'll come back to that in a second. With its associated dust. Now, I'm going to take out the power supply as well. You don't really need to do this, but because we're going to strip the whole thing down and try to get to the front panel, I'm going to do that as well. This is held in by 2 T10s, very similar to the ones holding the motherboard on. Separately, they are the same size. So there's 1 here at the back, and then there's 1 hidden away somewhere. It's right here under all this mess of cable. And ooh, let me just, this for magnetic screwdrivers, right? And then this, it's obviously connected at the back as well, because there's the rear connector, and we're just going to slide this towards the front of the machine, lift it up, trying to keep away from all the capacitors, and take that out of the way as well. Okay, and there's nothing. I'm no expert on power circuits at all. As far as I'm concerned, this is completely unserviceable, apart from getting the dust out. You can buy replacement power supplies. They're really, really simple and cheap, but you need to check which model of Xbox you've got and which power supply fits in. Okay, put that there. Okay, right. The USB front panel connectors, they come off. There are two T10s for each one. One, two. Four. These are slightly odd, and they don't feel like they're gonna go. But basically, you kind of tip the back of the connector, the piece inside the machine. You tip it up, and then it just kind of wiggles loose. There is a little hook, just to keep the plastic piece in place, but that comes apart, and then you have this. And basically, that's the old. Those are the Xbox controller ports, and they're basically a USB hybrid thingy. Microsoft love their proprietary stuff, and so you just take the other one off the same way. So we just lift that up at the back, and then wiggle it out, and we're nearly done. Let's just get this piece out. Right, and then we're done. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is to get the front panel off. Now, this is not the easiest thing to do, okay? And I don't really quite know how I'm going to be able to show you. What I will try though. So, in here along the front, so here, here, and here, there are 3 catches, and you need to lift them up towards you and then push towards the front, and then you'll feel them click and clear the housing that they're in. But it won't come off completely. Okay, I think already done. Okay, right, and then the front panel itself comes away here. Now, how am I going to show you this? Probably not going to be able to. Okay, here in this piece here, it's actually connected, and there's some clips, and it's really clear when you know where to look how it's attached. And basically, you need to get something in there to lever it apart. So I have got metal spudger in this case, because it does need a good lever. And basically, I'm going to put this in here and try to lever this off without cracking it. Like I say, it is quite tough, and it might take a little bit of levering to get it off. I'm actually just going to try and do it with my hands first. So sorry, my apologies if you can't see this. I need to grab the whole contraption. See if we can get that apart. And it's actually very sturdy, so don't worry too much about breaking it. But obviously go gentle because it is old plastic now. Oh, man. Need to get that one bit off. And it is just like a wrestling match, basically, to get the damn thing off. And this is actually one piece of video that I really wanted to make, because I haven't actually found anybody else with a video, and not that you can see it, of course, with a video of how to get this piece apart. And what you tend to find is that there are actually 3 little catches. The one at the top comes away really easily. The one in the middle is not so bad, but then it's the one at the bottom where the case goes into a square that is actually it's really tricky to get off. But there we go, and it's come off now. And this side should now be quite free. So let me just turn that back round the right way so we're oriented properly. And hopefully I should be able to get this off quite straightforward now. Let's just try this. Make sure these catches are loose. Well, there we go. And that once you've done one side, it's actually fairly easy to get off. Whoever last worked on this did actually manage to snap a piece of the front panel, getting it off, and I don't imagine that's an unusual problem. So you just go easy with it, just take your time, and it will come free Essentially, there we go. So let's give you something to look at. Get the old camera to focus. There we go. And then basically this just slides off. Slides, he says. It's obviously never meant to be removed from the device at all, and you just need to wiggle it free. And when you do free it all up, actually I don't know, that one in the middle's not come through properly. There we go. You obviously then have the, let me just move this back into your view. You obviously have the power cable here, the control cable, and that just tucks through a hole. You just need to make sure that you can pull that through. And then basically we've stripped the whole thing down to its constituent parts. The last thing, and if you're cleaning it, you know, to sell it on or something, you probably want to take the fan off, and actually it's just held together by 2 clips. Now I do actually really struggle, if I'm honest, to get the fans off, and I might leave it on for the time being, if we can. So there are clips on the back, right, to get hold the fan on, and clips on the base. And like I say, it's actually a bit of a fiddle. I will probably just leave that in there for the time being. Let me see if that's. Right, no, I can't get that off. Let's just click that back in. So there's the whole thing stripped down, thankfully. Basically, all this is shielding, and obviously, if you can get the fan off, it's basically shielding and case again, and you can get everything out of the way and give it a good clean. And the other tool that you're always going to need if you're taking an old one of these apart is some kind of dust removal mechanism, because I tell you what, these things, they're filthy. Okay, cool. Put that down now. Two bits that we haven't quite dismantled. So this is the front panel. There are 2 clips at the top here, just above the button, one here and one kind of slightly hidden. And you need to lever those up slightly. Now be careful, because these are quite small. And that will allow us to get access to the front switches on the front panel if I can get it apart. I had a real problem doing this last time, because once again, this is obviously a piece that's not supposed to be maintained in any way, shape or form, and that was fair enough. I expect it just came as a piece, and if you had a broken one and it got fixed, you just plonked a new one on. There we go. So this piece comes off. Like I say, it's another wiggling job, so that comes off, and then that exposes the switches and the circuit board. To get this circuit board off, and you know, I haven't done this yet, which is a bit stupid, because I really do need to do that to fix this one. There's a clip here at the bottom here, which holds the circuit board in. So you can just press that away from the circuit board, and then tilt the circuit board around it, hopefully. There we go. And then the circuit board just tips out from there. And basically, this is a really straightforward piece of circuitry. You've also got your 2 buttons. You've got a couple of LEDs, and that's it. And there's basically really nothing there. And obviously the connector. Now, I'm not really quite sure why my power doesn't work. Kind of interesting, to say the least, because it's such a simple thing. It could be that the switch is gone, although that doesn't seem likely, and there doesn't seem to be any problem with the traces, so I'm not really quite sure what the score is there. That looks like it goes to the pins on the left though, so we could check them for some continuity maybe, see what's going on. So there we are, and then this is the piece, and obviously it's full of dust, especially this front piece. It's a bit messy, but this is all just plastic sprung together, so just be a bit careful with it. And there we go. So that is the Xbox original Xbox completely dismantled, including the front panel, which, like I say, is a bit tricky to get off. But if you do have a problem with the front panel, then might need to get at it. I've never seen anybody report any kind of problems with the front panel section, and so I guess people tend not to take this piece off. But if you do find you've got a problem with the switch or the eject button or something, then that's how you get all that stuff to test it and make sure it works.